Though his official missing date is February 15th, 2012, Carol said that she actually saw him a couple days after that. She's told a couple different stories to law enforcement and friends and family of Jimmy. First, she says she saw him on the 16th or 17th out in his yard. Then she saw him feeding chickens. Then she claimed that he actually moved out of state with no word to anyone.
Tidwell's wife, Carol, told officers she had been staying with family in Nacogdoches due to the cabin still being under construction. She said she last saw her husband on February 24th, 4 days before he was reported missing.
If she were being truthful about this, would completely rule Israel Keyes out, and if she were not being truthful, would cast suspicion on her. Carol also never reported her husband missing. Jimmy's employer actually did that. Jimmy's sister said that he had recently bought 10 acres of land where he was in the process of building a cabin, and he wanted to retire there and raise chickens. Why would he buy 10 acres of land and invest in building a cabin and buy chickens only to disappear? Carol also answered her husband's phone on behalf of him, claiming that he was busy. Jimmy's sister believes that his truck was planted where it was found, and she also found Carol's behavior following her husband's disappearance to be very strange.
When you don't report something happened to your husband, and you don't show up for any of the interviews, and you don't cooperate with anybody, you're damn sure hiding something, in my opinion.
Israel Keyes wouldn't confess to this. Keyes was missing that day. No one knew where he was. If Jimmy Tidwell went missing on the early morning hours of the 15th, and Keyes was picked up later in the day on the 15th, it's unlikely Keyes would have had time to abduct Jimmy Tidwell, murder him, dispose of his body, and move his car to a road within 5 miles of his home, and then drive over 200 miles to meet his family. And if the FBI believes that there are 11 victims, and that Deborah Feldman was the 8th victim, then the only 3 victims after that could have been Bill and Lorraine Currier and Samantha Koenig, meaning that they would have been his last 4 victims.
But when you left on this trip, your intention was to find a house, take somebody, use the ATM, and then the bank ended up being what you did because the other didn't work out, or the opportunity didn't arise, or did you plan on robbing a bank?
I didn't plan on doing anything in Texas. If I had stuck with my plan when I left Alaska, the plan was to bury the guns. But we got back from vacation and I got to Texas, and I was checking the Alaska news a lot, and I just got kind of amped up, I guess, and decided I wanted to go out and do something, like preferably take someone.
So did you take somebody?
No.
Agents found a photograph of MapQuest directions to Post Oak Cemetery in Glen Rose, Texas on Keyes' phone. When questioned about this, Keyes laughed and said he thought he deleted the photos but offered no explanation. In other interviews, Keyes talked generally about where he went to look for victims, and he mentioned cemeteries because people often visited them alone, and it was a place he could be by himself and not look suspicious. He also noted that the caretaker sheds at cemeteries were easy to break into. Whether or not Keyes is responsible for the death of Jimmy Tidwell or another victim on this trip, it's clear that he was out of control and was at the very least looking for someone.
For a peace of mind, for a long, long time, I would come out here and I would walk up and down the edge of the highway. I would look for anything in the ditches I could find. I would call his name, just hoping that I could find something.